Yes, my mother always told me, Ryan, you have to love at least two things. And I decided that those things were going to be faces and off. I'm Ryan.
I'm Sean.
And today we're reviewing Face Off.
Face Off.
I know him better than he knows himself. And now after all this time, I finally figured out a way to trap him. I will become him.
Face Off is a 1997 movie by John Woo, where apparently some producer said, what if we made a movie where John Travolta and Nicolas Cage just did bad impressions of each other for like 2 hours? And John Woo was like, yeah, let's do that. John Travolta is an FBI agent, Sean something, Archer. And then Nicolas Cage is Castor Troy, a really eccentric terrorist.
Suck my tongue.
Who wants to plant a bomb in downtown, whatever that city is. Sean Archer catches Castor Troy and kills him, he thinks.
Well, Sean, looks like Elvis done left the building.
And for 8 contrived reasons, they decide to swap his face with Castor Troy's face so that he can talk to his brother or something.
It's because they can only get the bomb.
Right.
They need Castor's face to trick his buddies into telling him where the bomb is.
Pretty much, yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
If this sounds complicated, it is. This movie is convoluted in every way, but it's amazing.
And I want to rewind a tiny bit and just say, although Nicolas Cage's John Travolta was terrible, John Travolta's Nicolas Cage
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Papa's got a brand new bag.
Ow! You know what? I didn't mind Nicolas Cage's Travolta. And
There are moments where Travolta comes through, and then there are moments where he's just being more Nicolas Cage than usual.
But the more what I love about that is because sometimes he's basically doing an impression of John Travolta, doing an impression of himself. This is a little abstract, but I wonder if John Travolta and Nicolas Cage are on good terms with each other anymore, because they both did not flattering impressions of each other for like a whole movie.
What I meant is that I'm not going anywhere until your brother helps me first.
John Travolta's impression of Nicolas Cage is way over the top and kind of creepy a little bit, and I wonder what Nicolas Cage feels like about that.
Well, I mean, he was doing an impression of his character, which is a crazy terrorist, so I'm sure Nick Cage was like, yeah, you got it.
I hope that they have like reunions for Face Off, you know, they all like get together in like a
Swap
meadow or
faces
something and just swap faces, yeah.
Even like a lot of the ridiculousness, it's still structured well. When he's in prison and then John Travolta, who's actually Nick Cage, but the actor's John Travolta. I'm just going to refer to them as the actor.
It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
John Travolta gets his face and then kills the only 3 people that know who he really is. In this ridiculous world where switching faces is possible and a thing, like they did all like the right move. They had John Travolta going home to the wife, all that weirdness.
I hate to see you go. I love to watch you leave.
When John Travolta, who's now actually Nick Cage, gets home to his family, who's not his family.
Right.
He kind of solves a lot of their issues, though. Like, he's the bad guy, but he gets to their house and he's just, like, fixing their marriage.
Yeah.
Reads the wife's diary and then starts, like, acting on that proactively. Just like, oh, she needs attention. Foot rub and everything. John Travolta, before the face swap, doesn't get along with the daughter at all.
Yeah.
And then he's just like,
Do you have protection?
What, you mean like condoms?
You know what I kind of think of Face Off as like? It's like an opera.
No more drugs for that man.
No, wait. It is. It is a 1990s film opera. It is orchestral. The soundtrack is a very 90s soundtrack. The characters are crazy over the top in terms of just their decision making and the things they say.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Nicolas Cage just plants a bomb and then goes downstairs and grabs a nun's ass. Like, that's the next thing that he does, like dressed as a priest.
yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. You're not going to get that from a movie made today.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
Also, I want to say big shout out to whoever did the sound design for this movie. There are some there are some great sound effects in the very beginning with the carousel.
Yeah.
There's just the shots of the horse in the carousel, and then just like did John Woo request that, or was that? I want to know what's behind that.
That's a John Woo thing, because John Woo, John Woo was with the editor, and the editor was like, "Yeah, this is your movie," and he just went, "I think we need horse noises," and the editor went, "What?" Because that sets the tone. It's a mustached Nicolas Cage shooting a child on a carousel with a horse noise. That's the opening credits.
In the middle of a park
in slow
where
motion.
there's no one there on a nice day.
On a nice day.
And Nick Cage is just kind of laying there with a sniper rifle.
I think this is probably the best John Woo movie. And I really mean that, because he's at the top of his game. He made like a couple movies in Hong Kong that were great. And then I think this was his first Hollywood movie.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
He just had this really convoluted plot, and they went, "Yeah, you made money in Hong Kong, so let's do it."
I have totally creative freedom when I shot the movie. I was so surprised that for a studio, they have never given me any notes or any advice, They just let me to make my own movies.
Camerawork of Face-Off was really, really interesting, actually. I think it was John Woo's signature style. There was a lot of slow motion.
There was a lot of slow motion.
Yeah, there was tons of
coverage.
A
lot of unnecessary, head turn slow motion.
Sure.
I say unnecessary, but I liked it. It would happen in moments where you wouldn't traditionally see slow motion, like someone just turning around.
He wants to create that dramatic moment.
The other film, when I was working with the second unit director, and the second unit director had never liked slow motion. They have never shot any slow motion shot for me. He said, John, this is not my style. I said, I want you to do my style. I need my style, not your style. So that's why I haven't worked with that guy again.
I'm super familiar with the first 30 minutes of this movie, because I try to show it to people all the time, and most people are like, "Get out of my house."
I will attack one scene that you can defend, because there was one scene that I didn't like. Archer, with Castor Troy's face, is in prison, and they have these special boots that'll lock you to the ground.
Yep.
And the only way to get the boots off is to do something bad enough to be sent to get electroshock therapy. So he is going to get his brain fried, and there's another prisoner in front of him who gets his brain fried, and he's foaming at the mouth, laying on the ground like a vegetable. And then he's about to get his brain fried, and he just goes,
Bob, I didn't touch your wife. And I didn't touch your sister.
And then that guy jumps up and starts defending Nick Cage with all of his might.
Out.
For no apparent reason.
Totally.
And it just felt that was the one point where it felt like they were trying really hard to come up with a way for him to break out of there, and eventually they said, fuck it.
His problem was that the terrorist, Castor Troy, had slept with his wife, right? Then Nicolas Cage as Sean, God, this is really confusing to describe. But yeah, he's basically telling him I'm not the guy, I'm a different guy, let's get out of here. And he also said, your wife loves you very much in that
But his
scene.
brain was fried. And then that guy picks up a machine gun and has the reflexes of a cat and starts gunning down people.
Yeah.
How can you do that, but you can't understand a full sentence?
Can I just point out that you're picking apart a flaw in Face-Off. You've accepted that two faces have gone onto each other without searching.
Well, that's logical.
Here's my argument. You can't pull that thread, because if you do, the movie unravels.
But did you ever have a moment when you felt like this was crazy and it was never going to work? The whole idea of face swapping. Did you ever have doubt?
No, I have never had any doubt, because I believe it could happen.
I love how in the 90s, there's just no regard for human life in movies.
Yeah.
They kill so many people.
Yeah, I know.
Half the FBI is dead by the end of this movie.
Yeah. There were 20-something FBI agents who died in that movie.
And there's some people that die so arbitrarily, too.
The woman in the plane.
Yep. Whatever.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the thing that I don't think anyone fully understands.
Okay.
Which is the...
Now I feel like I got to do it to you.
Sure.
Okay. Nice.
But what is this? What is that? Do you know? Do they? Is there anything on the dark web about where that came from?
I don't think so. I mean, there's one instance of that in Western culture, and it's fucking this movie.
No one does that.
No one does
That's
that.
not even like a niche thing where it's like, oh well, you didn't grow up with a Moroccan family. They're always doing that.
I wonder if it's a Scientologist thing.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging your alien within.
Maybe. I don't know. It's weird. It is John Travolta in it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
John Travolta and Nick Cage, they were not the first choice, and they were not the only option
Yeah.
for who was going to trade faces.
All right.
There was also Al Pacino and Robert De Niro,
Yeah.
which I think would have also been pretty awesome.
That would have been good.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone.
See, that one, I don't really, like, the thing is that would have just been another action movie, like,
Yeah.
like True Lies or something. True Lies is great. That's not a good example. Like Cliffhanger. It's a movie
Sure.
I like, but is also forgettable. I like Cliffhanger because I watch it every year because I've forgotten everything in it. So it's like watching a brand new movie. So you get like a couple movies for the price of one DVD. And that's how I save money.
The only thing I think I would love about that is just the fact that they have such heavy accents, you know? Arnold has his heavy Austrian accent, and Sylvester has whatever the hell is going on with his voice.
You know what? I wonder what that would have been like. Maybe that's
Like,
why they canceled
what is
it.
Arnold doing Sylvester Stallone?
Arnold can't even do his own. Arnold can't even do like his own voice. Like,
Yeah.
how is he going to do Sylvester Stallone's? And vice versa. I would actually love to see them try to do each other.
Get to the chopper.
They also have that whole face-off scene with Discount Howie Mandel, and I really liked that. He just starts going, I want to take his face.
I'd like to take his face off.
So that guy just goes, face off. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. And they keep going back and forth. Face off. Face off.
Yeah, it's one of the
this.
best moments of that movie.
The face.
It felt like originally when they wrote the movie, there were a lot of lines where people would say, like, what did you guys, switch faces? And they just cut those lines out. Because there's a lot of lead-ins where you're, like, almost there.
Sir, did you just have a surgical procedure?
What do you mean?
Well, we were talking about this a little earlier, before you all joined us, about what makes a bad movie good.
Yeah.
Like a good, bad movie. And I think this movie has, like, all the major components.
Interesting premise. They were trying
Interesting
really
premise.
hard.
They were trying really hard. Like, you could tell that they were all, even Nick Cage was trying his darndest.
He tries his darndest every
And every
day.
time, yeah.
Every goddamn day. That guy wakes up and he's like, I'm going to fucking get
Yeah.
this coffee really intensely.
And it was well produced, you know? It looks
was.
good.
It does.
All the stunts, all the effects are great.
Yeah, I mean, they're a little,
complaints.
they're overblown in that classic 90s sense, but they all work really well. Because it was also John Woo perfecting his craft.
Face Off just hits all those good, bad buttons.
Yeah.
Where it just walks that line so nicely where it's like, you know this is bad, but you're also like, this is very good.
What's the matter?
Face itches.
In my mind, a bad movie is something that's not watchable. And Face Off is eminently watchable. I am very entertained by Face Off. It's not artistic, necessarily. No, you know what? It is kind of artistic. It's got a lot of artistry to it, like in terms of the
The
fight
horse
sequences.
neighing.
The horse neighing. It's all. That's the key. The weird Scientology hand glide. The ending with the doves for some reason in the funeral parlor.
John Woo loves his dog.
Yeah, that guy lives in a dove factory.
He must. Just conveyor belts with half a dove and people smacking them together, then they just
Yeah.
start fluttering away onto the set.
I really do honestly think this is a very great movie. It's very watchable. It's really fun. But you have to go into it kind of knowing that you're not looking at necessarily, like an artistic movie. It's a movie made for fun, and if you take it that way, it can be a blast. What would you rate it?
I would give it a solid, out of 20, I would give it an 18 out of 20.
Get out.
But yeah, I would say anyone who likes action movies, over-the-top, cheesy bad movies, and Nick Cage.
Nick Cage, yeah.
Those
And
are
fun. If you like fun, watch this movie.
You're not having any fun, are you, Sean? Try terrorism for hire. We'll blow some stuff up. It's more fun.
Who would you swap your face with if you could swap your face with anyone?
Oh, are you kidding me? It's so hard. If I could swap it with anybody?
Yeah, that you have met.
That I've met? Mm-hmm. Oh shit, I was gonna say Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti, that's a good one.
Let's see. Who would I swap if I could swap my face? Jabri. I would swap my face with Jabri for sure.
Let's roll a clip of Jabri.
Handsome fella.
Good looking dude.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike here from Rabbit Hole TV, here with our mascot Pumpkin. Thanks for watching In the Fold. If you like what you saw, please subscribe for more. And if you really like what you saw, you can check out our Patreon where you can see behind the scenes photos and videos. Right, Pumpkin? She says subscribe. Ugh.